let's start off like we always do with our foam rolling on the upper back area and taking it from the lower rib area all the way up to where the neck meets the shoulders, up and down. So today is hip release class, and we're gonna do a lot of nice things to relax the hips, which can in turn actually relax the low back. So a lot of great benefits today. And we're gonna focus on mostly the back hips, like your glute area, but we will hit the front a little bit too, just to get a full picture. And so I mentioned in the email, some of the things this month are going to be a bit of a review, because I'm sure you don't remember everything from last month. So you will, even today, as we go through some of the moves, maybe have a little bit of deja vu. Like, oh, I remember that from last month. But I think that's good, because if we could do things a couple times, maybe it's something you can more easily store to recollect on a day when you may need it. All right, so let me show you a picture of where we're going to start working. And all right, so I've got this picture on the right. You can see the palms of the hands facing the picture. That is your TFL, which we have worked on before. So that is the focus of the first part of our work today, where that red muscle is. You can see on the upper thigh area, the picture on the right. Do a run through again of how to find that muscle. So you're going to stand, place your hand, your right hand on the front of your right thigh where you remember seeing that red muscle. And what you're going to do is pretend like you're going to twist your foot to the left, but don't actually twist it like that. Keep your foot planted on the ground and try to twist it to the left. What you're going to feel under that hand that's on your right hip is that TFL muscle popping out underneath your fingers. So just giving you a frame of reference on what muscle we're working on, where to find it, where it's located. So that's the person that we are going to work on right now. So let's stick our foam roller right there. We're going to be lying on top of it and doing a little massage work on that right TFL. So this muscle gets really tight if you've been sitting for a long time, because in a sitting position, this muscle is shortened and gets tight. So what we're going to do is lie on the ground. And I would say it's a little easier if you want to take a look again, instead of having the foam roller like this, if you have like kind of the edge of it off to the side, the right side here. And what you want to do when you're lying on top of that is take the right side of your right heel and drop it to the floor. And I'm going to readjust my position in case you need to see that instead of hearing me explain it. So making sure that you can see what I'm doing here. So see how I'm taking my right heel and just kind of dropping it to the floor. This is kind of that same twisting motion I had you do when we were standing to try to find that muscle. And what you do is you can feel it popping out against the foam roller as you twist your foot like this. So what we're going to do is twist the foot back and forth for a few more seconds and then foam roll up and down that TFL muscle. So now what I want you to do, we're still staying on that little short band of muscle, but we're just rolling up and down. So you're moving your whole torso up and down, maybe just an inch or two each way. And as you do it, kind of drop that right heel, the right side of your right heel to the floor again. And that really targets, that makes that TFL get in really good contact with that foam roller. So we do a lot of different areas in the body, and this is maybe one of those ones that maybe a little harder to get into, doesn't feel like super relaxing to do, but the payoff is really good. Once you get this area to relax, you can really get a lot of benefit in a lot of other areas than just your hip. So important to work on this if you've been sitting a lot. So we're moving up and down still for a few seconds. And now let's try that on the other side. So here again, left TFL, that area at the top of your hip. Gonna find that. Also, you can be using a pillow here instead of holding yourself up on your forearms like I am. I'm just holding myself up so you can hear me better. What I'd like you to do here is that twisting motion again. Now you're dropping the left side of your heel to the floor. So that twisting motion is bringing that TFL, kind of popping it out against the foam roller. You should feel it like you were feeling it when we were trying to find it a minute ago. Now we're moving up and down. Just rocking your body forward and back, a couple inches each way. Again, letting that left heel, the left side of that left heel drop to the floor a little bit more to pull that TFL in more contact with the foam roller. Okay, all right. So now got these massaged, all loosened up. I'm going to show you a way to stretch. This is called a Thomas stretch, a way to stretch the front of that area. And I think you'll find this stretch to be very relaxing. So what we're going to do is we're going to be lying on top of our foam roller, kind of right in the middle of your sacrum. If you're not sure how to find it, or if you want it like a little landmark, think about like starting at your tailbone with the foam roller, which is not where you want it to be, but then kind of rolling it up a couple inches. And then we're gonna, once we get that position, I'm gonna show you what to do with your legs to get into a good hip stretch. So kind of in the middle of your sacrum there, right leg is gonna be straight, completely straight. And you're gonna grab that left knee and just pull it into your chest. At a certain point, that right leg might start to pop off the ground, and that's fine. But just holding this position right here should give you a pretty nice intense stretch in that upper thigh area on the right side. Should feel like a similar area to where we were just working into with the foam roller. And here's a little trick too. If you twist that right toe to the left, or your whole right foot, if you twist it to the left a little bit, you're going to feel it targeted even more in that TFL area. Now, this is a stretch. If you're really flexible in your hip flexors, you may not be actually feeling a big stretch just from hanging out in this position. So if anyone out there is going through that right now, I'm going to tell you a little modification you can do to intensify the stretch if you need to. If you don't need to, just sit back, relax, and have a deep breath. But you want to intensify it a little bit. What you can do is really pull your belly button into your spine, engage your lower abdominals. And what that does is it puts your pelvis into what's called a posterior tilt, which pulls through that hip a little bit more. So like I said, if you don't need that, just hang out. But if you want more of a stretch, really focus on pulling that belly button into the spine and tensing your lower core a little bit. Let's relax into the stretch for a few more seconds. Deep breath. All right, and now we're gonna let that left leg go to the ground. Bring the right knee up. You're gonna hug that right knee into your chest and let that left leg be straight, straight as you can. Feel that stretch through the left thigh. These muscles, when they get tight, can even start to pull on your back a little bit and make your back uncomfortable. So, especially if you've been sitting for a long time, I would recommend getting into this position. Just hanging out for a minute, like we are right now. Take a couple deep breaths. Another trick, if you're struggling to get a stretch out of this, is that leg that's straight. In this case, right now, that's our left leg. Squeeze that glute. As soon as you squeeze that glute muscle, you'll immediately notice that stretch intensifies. So you do what version feels good to you of this as we stretch out that hip flexor. Okay. All right. Our rest of our time, the focus is going to be on what's happening on the back of the hips. So I'm going to show you a picture that will give you a little frame of reference for that. So we're going to be focusing on everything back here now. And we will have a little picture here for you. All right, so we've got the body on the left. You can see the glutes. The first thing we're going to work on is the glute medius area, which I have neatly circled in yellow for you. You can see, and the muscle itself is kind of part of that red area that you can see circled. But basically the top area of the hip, you don't have to get too specific. The top part of your glute is what we're going to be working on first. And then next we're going to work on, you can see those dashes, the white dashes. We're going to be working along the border of the sacrum with the foam roller. So two different areas we're working on. And I'll just have you make a note of that. So top of the hip circled in yellow, and then the border of the sacrum where you can see those white dashes. Right, so for starters, that top of the hip area, what we're gonna do is have the foam roller in like this underneath of us. This one you may remember, a little deja vu here. We're gonna be going back and forth like this as we lay on the foam roller. So we're gonna start on that left glute area. You want to lift up, lay on your back, lift up your hips, and you're going to place that foam roller. You want the top of it to be on your glutes. You don't want it to come all the way up your back. You want the top of it to be right on the top of the glutes, that area that you remember circled in yellow on the picture. And what you're going to do is just scoot kind of left to right. So you're going to take the foam roller all the way to the left until you feel like you're kind of hitting that bone area. You want to stop short of rolling over the bone on the outside of your hip. And then you want to roll back in towards your sacrum. So the foam roller is now moving to the right towards your sacrum. And then when you run into that sacrum area, you can kind of pause and then move back and forth. So we're just kind of left to right with the hips, kind of just moving back and forth, working broadly atop that muscle at the upper region of the glutes there. And you may need to position it from time to time. Sometimes when you're rolling back and forth on the foam roller like this, it kind of likes to scoot out from under you a little bit. So it's okay if you want to just kind of reposition after every few rolls to feel like you're in the right spot. Just left to right. You can pause on any area that you like that feels particularly needy this morning for feeling tight or anything like that. You can feel free to just hang out and apply a little compression to any specific area that's calling to you. All right, and now let's go to the other side. So let's take it to the right, still keeping on the upper region of the glute and moving your torso or your hips from left to right, kind of stopping short of that bony area on the outside of your hip and then moving back in towards the sacrum. So you can feel that bone in the sacrum and then moving back out again towards the hip bone. Couple deep breaths here before we move on. Let's make sure to breathe. Keep moving those hips back and forth, or maybe you found a spot that you're just happy hanging out in, and that's fine too. Okay. All right, so now we're going to work on stretching that area that we just foam rolled. I'm going to give you two options here. So first is pretty similar to what you would recognize as a pigeon pose if you took a yoga class. So you're going to have one leg kind of bent in front of you like this. You start with the left leg, and then that right leg will be straight behind you, and you're folding yourself over that leg. If that is maybe not comfortable for you for any reason, the alternative that I will show you is just lying on your back, placing your left ankle on top of your right thigh, and just pressing out a little bit, pressing that left knee away from you. So they both get the similar hip area that we're going for. So you pick whatever one feels best to you. And we're going to hang out there for about a minute on each side and just getting in a good stretch in those glutes. So if you're doing the pigeon pose version, just try to have your body as relaxed as possible. So that means not trying to hold your head up, making sure your head is nice and loose and dropping towards the floor, and that your neck and shoulders are relaxed. Take a deep breath. Okay, and now we're going to switch sides. So now, whatever version you're doing, whether you're on your back or doing this kind of pigeon pose that I'm showing, we're going to get into that position and stay here for just a minute.
This can also be a really good stretch for low back tension too, if you're looking for something to drop into when you're having some low back tightness. This could help. Deep breath. Okay. All right. So now we're going to foam roll. Going to ask you to jog your memory here to the picture where we had those white dashes along the border of your sacrum. So I'm going to adjust this here a little bit. So, right, the sacrum we know is this like triangular piece here on your glutes. And we're going to be on the edge of that. So we're going to start like on the right side. So the edge of your foam roller should be where you envision those white dots or those white dashes on the picture. So we're going to start at the top and kind of work our way down inchwise along the border of the sacrum. So let's start lying on the foam roller on the right side. So just to get an idea of where your sacrum is, put the edge of your foam roller right on the sacrum. You know you can feel when you're on that bone, and then you can kind of keep scooting it to your right. Keep scooting the foam roller to your right until you feel like you are no longer on the sacrum. So you kind of have come off the edge of it and you're more in like a fleshy area. So now we're working into the attachments of the glute that attach right to the edge of the sacrum. So once you've come off the edge of the sacrum, you can feel like you're in a fleshy area, just hang out there. The only thing that's going to move here is that right knee. You're moving it from left to right. So you're just letting your right knee come in towards your left knee as much as you can. And then you're letting your right knee drop towards the ground. So move it to the right and let it drop towards the ground as much as you can. So it's like your thigh is a windshield wiper, basically, here. You're kind of just slowly wiping your windshield left to right. So this is one of the one of the many active release techniques where you're actively moving your muscle against a constant static pressure, which is the foam roller in this case. So now you can move either up or down the edge of the sacrum, whichever feels good to you. At a certain point, you're going to feel like when you go up that you're in your back. So you don't really want to go up into the back. You want to stay on the glutes. And at a certain point, when you're moving down towards your feet, you're going to just kind of feel like you're on a bone and not really in your glutes anymore. So that's going to kind of give you the area to work in. So I'm going to just kind of let you work along the border of your sacrum, stopping at various points, moving that knee from left to right, just finding what feels best to you to work into. But there's a lot going on here. There's many, many different muscles attaching. So you can accomplish a lot just by working on these sacrum border attachment spots. Good. Okay, let's switch to the other side. So now we're going to be on the left side of the sacrum. So the edge of that foam roller is going to be doing the same thing it was doing on the right side, just working up and down that border of the sacrum on the left side. So find a spot for the foam roller that is right against the edge of that sacrum. Like I said, it's okay if you want to start on the sacrum and then scoot that foam roller out to your left until you feel it land in that fleshy area.
And then you can keep it put and move that left thigh back and forth like your windshield wiper. Slow and easy. And just play around with, there's just a few inches of space that you can move up and down in that area, but go up as far as you can go until you feel like you're right at the edge of where your glutes meet your low back. No need to go into the low back. You can stay away from that. Just stick to the glutes. And then when you're working your way down, towards your tailbone, at a certain point, you'll start to feel like you're getting out of the glutes that way, and you can stop there. Moving back and forth. All right, so we got one final stretch with the strap, stretching strap. So you're gonna have you lay on your back with the strap around the middle of your left foot. Try to do equal length of the strap with both your hands. Now you're going to, so you got the strap on your left foot, you're gonna grab both ends of the strap with the right hand. Place that right elbow onto the mat on your right side and let that left leg just go all the way over your body to the right side. Let it fall over your right leg. Let that left hip come off of the mat. So it's like your hips are rotating with this stretch. So this is a very good stretch for not just the glutes, but you can really, I'm sure, feel it down into your leg as well. So this gets the leg nicely as well. It's okay if your left foot here is touching the ground too. You can get all the way down to the ground, that's fine. But as you can probably feel, this is also pulling into some of those sacrum attachment areas we were just working on. So this is a good stretch to complement that. Take a couple deep breaths here. All right, and now we're gonna put the right foot in the strap around the middle of that right foot. Put both of those straps in your left hand. Place that left elbow next to you on your left side on the mat. And you're gonna let that right leg come all the way over across the left side of your body, all the way to the floor if you want, but you're keeping that leg straight so that it pulls nicely through the hip and the leg. Stop wherever you feel is a comfortable stretch. Shouldn't be painful. Maybe just slightly uncomfortable, that stretch sensation, but shouldn't be painful. Stop where it's comfortable for you, and we're gonna just do a couple deep breaths here. Okay. All right, done it again. Our next stretch and roll class is going to be on Monday. We're going to go over back and lats. So we're going to be doing mid back, upper back, and then kind of in the side on the lats. Should feel good to everyone. So I'm going to send a link to a highlight reel for the farm tour in case you couldn't make it, or in case you wanted to see the highlights again from the cute animals we saw. I'm going to send a link to that in the email. So thank you for being here today. I'll see you soon.